Then what? And I'm looking at the audience, hoping to see somebody mouthing the words.
Right.
Joseph Stalin, and if somebody's gotten the wrong words, I'm screwed.
In May 2025, doctors gave Billy Joel devastating news that changed everything. At 76, the Piano Man was forced to cancel all future shows and close his beloved motorcycle shop forever. His wife Alexis posted a heartbreaking message about his fight ahead. But the real shock isn't just his rare brain condition. It's what happened in that doctor's office when they told him the truth. The diagnosis that's stealing his balance, his memory, and maybe his music. Billy Joel is saying goodbye, and the reason will break your heart. Billy Joel came into the world on May 9, 1949, in the Bronx. His father, Howard Joel, had escaped Nazi Germany in 1939, carrying memories of a brother who died in Auschwitz, and that kind of pain settled quietly inside the family's future. His mother, Rosalind, was born in England and tried to give Billy and his sister a simple, steady home. In 1950, they moved into a small house at 20 Meeting Lane in Hicksville, a place filled with post-war families and clipped lawns. But inside their house, the air was thick with Chopin and Bartók because Howard played the piano late into the night after working at General Electric. Billy listened. He felt the weight of those classical melodies, even though his heart kept drifting toward rock and roll. He wanted to be Elvis Presley, not a concert pianist, not a scholar of Beethoven, just Elvis. He started piano lessons at 4 because his mother pushed him into the chair. Still, he showed something unusual. By 8, he had written close to 80 piano pieces and even 3 symphonies. School orchestras played them. Teachers watched him and wondered how a small boy could carry so much sound inside him. But he wasn't always serious. At a 4th grade show, he tried doing Elvis moves during Hound Dog, shaking his hips until the teachers cut his performance short. Even so, the discipline of those lessons stayed with him. He played at night on an old upright piano that wobbled and hummed through the house long after his parents fell asleep. Then life shifted. In 1963, his parents divorced. He was 14. The breakup cut deep and pushed him between 2 homes, 2 lives, and 2 versions of himself. His father eventually left for Germany, and that absence made Billy feel abandoned. It fed his writing. It strengthened the lonely edge in his voice. Songs like Rosalinda's Eyes later carried that ache. He kept going anyway. At 17, he dropped out of Hicksville High School because music meant more to him than grades. He worked nights in bars, earning enough to keep his dream alive. He didn't get his diploma until 1992, when he sent in essays and finally walked across the stage 25 years late. The distance with his father grew wider as the years passed, but that space made Billy think harder about identity, roots, and what it means to belong. Those ideas softened his writing and gave it truth. They helped him turn his private pain into something people everywhere could feel. His teenage years moved fast. At 14, he joined the Echoes as a drummer, sneaking out to play Beatles covers at basement gigs. When he broke a finger, he switched to keyboards and used fake names like Bill Martin to avoid school trouble. After the Beatles' Ed Sullivan performance in 1964, Billy and the band started wearing blue jackets and velvet collars, trying to copy the energy they felt through the television. He began recording with them in 1965. The band kept changing names, becoming the Emeralds and later the Lost Souls, until Billy left in 1967 to join the Hassles. School slipped further behind him because the music world was just too exciting, too alive, too much like the place he belonged. He also learned how to fight. Bullies targeted him, so in the mid-1960s, he took up boxing. 24 amateur bouts, 22 wins, 2 losses. He even won a New York State Golden Gloves title. His boxing days ended the night he broke his nose in his 24th match. That was enough. He dropped the gloves, saying he would rather sing than ruin his voice. The broken nose changed the tone of his voice, giving him a higher pitch that later became part of his unique sound. With the Lost Souls, he released a local single called Tomorrow, which got a little radio play around Long Island. But the band fell apart in 1967 after arguments and failed efforts to sign with Mercury Records. Billy moved on again. The Hassles recorded 2 albums in 1967 and 1968. Both flopped. Money ran out. He slept on couches. He tried to figure out what came next. Those years hardened him. They showed him how thin the line was between a dream and survival. In 1969, he formed Attila with drummer John Small. It was loud, heavy, almost wild. They recorded a self-titled album in July 1970, but it failed, and the band ended in October 1971. Billy's relationship with Small's wife, Elizabeth, complicated everything and left wounds that took years to heal. But that painful ending pushed him toward a solo path. He wanted to find his own voice. His debut album, Cold Spring Harbor, arrived in November 1971. It should have marked a new beginning, yet the mastering was ruined. Every song played about 10% too fast. His voice sounded unnaturally high, almost like a cartoon. Fans joked about it. Billy felt humiliated. The album sold fewer than 10,000 copies. Worse, his contract with Family Productions trapped him. He tried to escape Los Angeles under an alias because the deal gave the label most of his rights and left him with almost nothing. The label kept earning from his work even after he left. That mistake followed him for years. He sued Family Productions in 1972 for unfair royalties and poor promotion. They settled, but he still had to move back to New York. The bitterness became fuel. It shaped songs like The Entertainer, where he mocked the industry's fake promises. He learned to never let others own his voice again. While lawyers handled the mess, he played at the Executive Room in Los Angeles under the name Bill Martin. It was 1972, and he earned about $75 a night. He played for sailors, waitresses, and lonely strangers. Their stories slipped into his music. People like John the Novelist, Davy the Bartender, and Paul the Religious Man became characters in Piano Man. Those nights taught him that music could carry people through heartbreak, and that the smallest room could hold the biggest truths. His song, Captain Jack, began gaining attention in 1972 when a Philadelphia radio station played a live version. It became one of their most requested tracks, even though it talked openly about heroin use in Oyster Bay. The raw honesty grabbed people. It also grabbed Columbia Records. They offered him a contract while he was barely keeping up with bills. His credit cards were maxed out. Some nights, he wondered how he would eat. But the success of Captain Jack showed him he had something real, something people would follow. In 1973, he recorded Piano Man. A session musician played the harmonica, giving the song that soft, familiar barroom sound. The single reached number 25 on the Billboard Hot 100. Still, the path was not glamorous. He drove his own van across the Midwest, slept in cheap motels, played small clubs where only a few people showed up. But show after show, he built a loyal audience. That grind, those long roads and empty rooms, shaped him into someone who never lied to his listeners. It set the tone for everything he became. Billy Joel felt the world shift under his feet in the fall of 1973. He had just escaped a messy legal fight with his former label, and he poured all that frustration and wanderer's energy into the album he released on November 14th of that year. Inside it sat a 7-minute story he wrote from real memories, moments he lived while playing 6 nights a week at a little place called the Executive Room in Los Angeles. He met people there who never left his mind, like John at the bar, and the real estate novelist who had more dreams than pages. Those faces slipped into the lyrics of Piano Man. At first, nothing came easy, but slowly, the song started climbing, and by April 1974, it sat at number 25 on the Billboard Hot 100. Soon, it hit number 4 on the adult contemporary chart. The album itself moved around 200,000 copies at first, and then just kept going until it crossed 6.7 million worldwide. And the song that began as a long memory kept spreading so far that in 2015 the Library of Congress preserved it. Even in July 2025, People were streaming it more than 3.8 million times a week. It was like a quiet spark that refused to die. That spark pushed him onto the road in 1974. He opened for huge acts like The Who and the Beach Boys, and even with all that excitement, he felt out of place. In those arenas, hard rock crowds wanted noise, not a man behind a piano telling stories. They heckled him sometimes, and that pressure pushed him to change. So he began working on Street Life Serenade. The label rushed him, and he recorded the whole thing in just 2 weeks. He tried different instruments, even the Moog synthesizer, just to stretch his sound. The album reached number 35 on the Billboard 200 and sold more than 1 million copies, showing that even when he felt drained, the work kept pushing him forward. When Street Life Serenade came out in October 1974, one song rose above the rest. The Entertainer reached number 34 in the United States. He wrote it fast in that rushed 2-week stretch, and he let out all the frustration he felt about fame slipping through fingers and labels, wanting hits that moved quick. Critics loved its bite. They loved how he made fun of the industry while still delivering catchy hooks. He even cut out a verse about the weight of fame, though fans still hear it when he sings live. That album helped people see he had humor, edge, and truth tucked inside his writing. But while the music pushed forward, his personal life was tangled. In 1973, he married Elizabeth Weber after a secret affair that shattered his friendship with John Small, who had been both a bandmate and her husband. The guilt and heartbreak ran so deep that Billy later admitted he tried to end his life twice. Still, he and Elizabeth stayed together for nearly 10 years. She became his manager too, and fought fiercely to protect him. She helped him escape old contracts, brought better deals, and pushed his career to safer ground. Yet the constant travel, the weight of the industry, and the stress between business and marriage chipped away at them. Their divorce in 1982 closed a long chapter. In 2025, an HBO documentary opened it again, letting both speak about how painful and complicated that era really was. By late 1974, early demos of songs that later shaped The Stranger started leaking. One of them was Just the Way You Are. Hearing his unfinished work floating around scared him. He worried he would lose control, so he scrapped many of those versions and started again. The sales of Street Life Serenade slowed, and the doubt tightened around him. He called that time one of his lowest, but he kept going until 1977 arrived. And then everything changed. The Stranger exploded. It became his first platinum album and brought hit after hit. Those scrapped demos turned into prized rarities among collectors, like little reminders that he refused shortcuts. His choice to trust himself carried him to a moment that defined his life. The Stranger arrived on September 29, 1977, and it felt like a door opening. It climbed to number 2 on the Billboard 200 and stayed there for 6 weeks. It became Columbia Records' bestseller until 1985 and crossed 10 million copies around the world. 4 of its singles landed in the top 40, and Just the Way You Are reached number 3 in 1977. At the Grammy Awards in February 1979, it won Record of the Year and Song of the Year. Rolling Stone later placed the album at number 70 on its list of the 500 greatest albums. Producer Phil Ramone helped shape the sound, and songs like Scenes from an Italian Restaurant and Vienna stayed with fans for decades. Around the same time, something new happened. In 1977, they filmed the video for Movin' Out in the Bronx. It was one of the early clips built like a small story, and later it helped shape ideas for MTV when it launched in 1981. The song reached number 17 on the Billboard Hot 100 and showed how sharply he understood the working-class dream. He even rewrote the melody after his band rejected the first version. The video made the characters feel alive and helped place Billy Joel in the shift toward music videos that changed the industry. Then came 52nd Street on October 11, 1978. It became his first #1 album on the Billboard 200 and stayed there for 8 straight weeks. My Life climbed to number 3, while Big Shot and Honesty reached the top 40. At the 1980 Grammy Awards, the album won Album of the Year and Best Male Pop Vocal Performance. It carried jazz touches that showed his classical roots, giving the music a fuller and richer sound. By 2025, it had reached 7 times platinum in the United States, showing how deeply it stayed with people. Despite the success, his life held pain. His marriage to Elizabeth Weber ended in 1982. Pressure from work, distance, and old wounds wore them down. And in 1979, he suffered a terrible motorcycle accident that broke both wrists. Tours stopped, writing slowed. The silence forced him to sit with his thoughts and pain. Songs like Big Shot carried pieces of that frustration, and fans often linked those lyrics to the cracks inside his marriage. Even so, Big Shot still became a top 15 hit in 1978, showing how the music kept cutting through. But he never stopped performing. In 1978, he sold out Madison Square Garden, filling all 20,000 seats. People saw him as a major concert force. And when he later dedicated songs to figures like John Lennon after Lennon's murder in December 1980, the crowd felt the weight of his sincerity. He did not avoid difficult moments. He brought them into the room. That honesty shaped how fans saw him. Then came Glass Houses in 1980. It hit number 1 on the Billboard 200 and stayed there for 6 weeks. It finished as the 4th best-selling album of that year and sold 7.1 million copies in the United States. It brought him his first number 1 single with It's Still Rock and Roll to Me. The album's raw energy and new wave bite let him break away from the Piano Man image. In 1981, he won the Grammy for Best Male Rock Vocal Performance. 3 of its songs hit the top 40, proving that this shift in sound was both a risk and a reward. His fame drew eyes from everywhere, including the fashion world. In the early 80s, he dated Elle Macpherson when she was 19, and they lived together in New York. The relationship faded as her travel kept her moving, and he later wrote And So It Goes, inspired by that heartbreak. Then his connection with Christie Brinkley grew. She was grieving after Olivier Chandon died in a racing accident in 1983. Billy reached out to comfort her, and the bond deepened into love. He proposed during a helicopter ride, and they married in 1985. Brinkley starred in the Uptown Girl video, turning the song into something iconic. His relationships with these supermodels shaped how the public saw him, mixing music with a glamorous world. In 1983, he released An Innocent Man, a tribute to the doo-wop and R&B sounds he grew up with. It climbed to number 1 and brought hits like Uptown Girl and Tell Her About It. It stayed at number 4 on the year-end chart. But behind the cheerful music, he was facing a deep midlife struggle. Years of non-stop work and pressure drained him. He felt lost at times. The bright songs hid the weight he carried, giving the album a complicated emotional core. Then he stepped into history in 1987. He performed 6 concerts in Moscow and Leningrad, becoming the first major American rock star to tour behind the Iron Curtain. More than 100,000 people came to see him. Many had never seen Western rock live. The crowds reacted with an energy that surprised even him, but the atmosphere stayed tense. Soviet officials watched closely. During one show, bright lights from a documentary crew frightened the audience. Billy snapped. He yelled for them to stop, flipped his piano lid, and smashed a microphone stand. The moment became famous. The American press criticized him. Soviet fans understood him. Those concerts spread across the world, and even bootleg versions of Honesty slipped outside the USSR. People saw him as someone willing to stand with a crowd that felt trapped. Then came one of the hardest hits of his life. In 1989, he filed a $90 million lawsuit against his former manager and ex-brother-in-law, Frank Weber. He accused him of losing more than $10 million through bad investments, double billing him for video costs, and even mortgaging his copyrights for $15 million. It was one of the biggest lawsuits ever filed by a pop star. In the end, he settled for only $2 million. It felt small compared to the damage, but it helped cover the legal bills. The betrayal cut deep and delayed his album Stormfront. But from that pain came some of his strongest writing, including We Didn't Start the Fire, a song built on history, frustration, and release. Billy Joel's marriage to Christie Brinkley in 1985 looked bright from the outside, and for a short while, it really felt like a dream. Their daughter, Alexa Ray, was born that same year, and the world saw them as the perfect pair. But inside the home, things were slowly slipping. Rumors about Joel's infidelity kept circling, and Brinkley kept talking about moving to Paris, which only pulled them farther apart. By 1994, the marriage cracked for good. What followed was one of the darkest stretches of Joel's life. He confessed later that in 1989, he was drowning in pain from the affair, the collapse of his marriage, and the loss of his band. The depression hit him so hard that he tried to end his life by drinking a bottle of furniture polish. His sister Judy said he spent days in a coma after overdosing on sleeping pills. And when he tried again with Lemon Pledge, it was John Small, the bandmate he had once betrayed, who rushed him to the hospital. That kind of heartbreak stays with a person, and it shaped many of the songs he wrote in later years. Then came his third marriage in 2004, this time to Katie Lee. The age gap alone made headlines because Joel was 60 and Lee was 27. They had met by chance in a hotel, and their connection surprised everyone. But soon, the pressure of his drinking pushed the marriage into dangerous territory. By 2005, she gave him a hard choice: get help or lose the marriage. Joel entered the Betty Ford Center that same year, but when he came out, he felt a heavy resentment toward the idea that he had been forced into treatment. Their bond grew weaker with each month, and by 2009, the marriage ended. Lee later said that Joel struggled with anxiety, the loss of creativity, and the weight of aging, all of which made healing feel impossible. The drinking issues that damaged his marriage to Brinkley were the same ones that damaged this one, and the pattern showed how deep his battles ran. After everything, he searched for peace in a place no one expected. In 2010, he opened 20th Century Cycles in Oyster Bay. Some people think he opened it in 1984, but it was November 6, 2010, when the doors finally opened. The space had been many things over the years: a Ford dealership, a carpet shop, a dance studio, and then it became his motorcycle haven. He filled it with more than 75 classic bikes, including a rare 1914 Flying Merkel. He never sold anything there. It was not a business. It was a refuge, a place where he could breathe and walk among machines that never judged him. That shop stayed open until September 2025, when his health forced him to close it. When it shut down, the auctions of his bikes marked the end of a long personal escape. Long before that, another storm had torn through his life. In 1971, he fell into a secret relationship with Elizabeth Weber, who was married to his bandmate John Small. The affair set off rumors that tore the band apart and left Joel crushed with guilt. He spoke about it years later in a 2017 documentary, saying he felt like a homewrecker. The fallout left him homeless and depressed, pushing him into 2 suicide attempts, including one where John Small himself saved him. Weber said later she never saw him as the cause of her broken marriage, but the guilt stayed heavy. That period built the emotional foundation for songs like She's Always a Woman and shaped the way he carried relationships for the rest of his life. Years later, he stepped into something new. In 2015, he married Alexis Roderick in a small moment during his 4th of July party. She was already pregnant with their first daughter, Della Rose, who arrived on August 12, 2015. Their second daughter, Remy Ann, was born on October 22, 2017, at 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Alexa Ray was there for both births, standing by her father and her stepmother. Joel was 68 at the time, and called that period a quiet, stable chapter. His music slowed down, but his home grew fuller. Friends said the girls brought him a kind of healing he had not felt in decades. They saw how his face changed when he held them, how he softened, how the weight finally lifted from his shoulders. Before all of that, though, he had created a final spark with River of Dreams in 1993. The album topped the Billboard 200 for 3 weeks and earned 4 Grammy nominations. It carried the heavy themes he was living at the time: lawsuits, broken trust, painful dreams about the world ending. Christie Brinkley painted the cover, adding another layer of meaning to that period of his life. When the 1994 Grammys cut off Frank Sinatra's speech, Joel paused his own performance in protest, holding a long silence on live television. It became one of the night's most talked about moments. That album marked a creative high just before vocal cord issues slowed his career. The next years brought huge tours. His face-to-face concerts with Elton John in 1994 became history. In just a few weeks, they made more than $48 million, with crowds at places like Giant Stadium buying more than 290,000 tickets each night. By 2003, the tour brought in over $46 million in only 24 days. Over 2 decades, the full series made more than $500 million. After 2001 and the release of his classical album, Fantasies and Delusions, which failed both commercially and critically, the burnout grew too heavy. He stepped back from touring, focusing instead on special moments and smaller projects. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1999 by Ray Charles, earning a full standing ovation. He had already won the Grammy Legend Award in 1990, but he always shrugged at praise. He joked that his music was mock rock and laughed at himself for sounding derivative. When he gave his Hall of Fame speech, he joked again, pointing to Ray Charles as the real genius. That honesty made the moment feel warm and real. Then came 9/11. Joel stepped forward the way only a hometown musician could. He donated $1 million to Long Island families and performed at the Tribute to Heroes broadcast on September 21, 2001. That night raised more than $200 million for victims. His music helped lift the mood in New York, even while his own life faced lawsuits, including Liberty DeVito's 2009 claim over unpaid royalties. It showed how even moments of unity can sit beside personal storms. In 2001, he decided he would not release any more pop albums. Instead, he moved toward piano solos and Broadway. Movin' Out opened in 2004 and ran for 2,300 shows, winning 2 Tony Awards. But piracy hit the production hard, with bootleg recordings spreading everywhere. Even through the success, he felt the sting of losing control over his own work. Through all of this, his daughter Alexa Ray kept shaping her own path. She released her debut album Sketches in 2007 at age 21, and her first single All My Days reached the adult top 40. She even performed Just the Way You Are with her father in 2008. Both she and Joel have spoken openly about depression. Alexa had a severe episode in 2010 after a breakup and ended up hospitalized after calling 911 herself. Joel opened up about his own struggles in the 1980s and talked about spending days in a coma after an overdose. Their openness made them strong voices for mental health, showing how even famous families carry invisible bruises. Billy Joel Park added another layer to his legacy. It opened in Huntington in 1991 after he helped fund it through concert proceeds. The park gave local kids a place to play and became a symbol of how deeply he cared for Long Island. Universities noticed his impact, too. Fairfield awarded him an honorary doctorate in 1991, and Berkeley followed in 1993. For a pop musician, such recognition was rare at the time. Joel's marriage to Alexis Roderick in 2015 only deepened his focus on family. She left her job as a Wall Street risk manager and built a quiet home with him on Long Island. They homeschooled the kids, taught them horseback riding, and created a life far from flashing cameras. For Joel, this became a new rhythm, one that replaced noise with peace. Then came the MSG residency. From 2014 to 2024, he sold out 104 shows, moved 1.9 million tickets, and made $266 million. No solo artist had ever reached those numbers at Madison Square Garden. On July 25, 2024, he ended the residency with a banner raised for his 150 lifetime performances at the venue. Soon after, he revealed that he had been diagnosed with normal pressure hydrocephalus, a condition affecting balance, cognition, and memory. It forced him to cancel all shows in 2025 and beyond. The news stunned fans because he had always been a force on stage. His book, The Lives of the Pianist, came in 2014 and opened doors into the secrets he carried: boxing scars, vodka binges during his 1987 Soviet tour, and the cracks in his life that he never spoke about. The HBO documentary And So It Goes arrived in July 2025 and followed the same theme. It showed him rehearsing for the MSG residency, laughing with family, stumbling through old memories, and surviving every hit life gave him. Fans loved how honest it felt. In May 2025, doctors found the NPH. He was 76, and the symptoms had been quietly building: balance issues, cognitive dips, urinary trouble. The disease affects about 0.2% of people between 70 and 80, and nearly 5.9% of people over 80. Many mistake it for dementia. MRI scans and lumbar puncture tests confirmed the diagnosis. Doctors told him to stop performing and begin physical therapy. They talked about a VP shunt, a small device that drains fluid, offering a possible path to improvement. On May 26, 2025, Alexis posted a family photo of Joel with Della and Remy. She thanked the fans and said he was fighting hard. She talked about how he recovered from his suicide attempt in 1989 and how that same determination was guiding him now. She said he would not perform for a while and that doctors were watching him closely. Fans felt the emotion in her words and sent waves of support. Just a few months later, he closed 20th Century Cycles for good. His doctors told him motorcycles were no longer safe. The collection was auctioned off for $2 million, and he donated the money to NPH research. It turned a goodbye into something meaningful. His legacy stays sharp. He sold more than 150 million albums and earned 33 top 40 hits. The Stranger alone sold more than 15 million copies in the United States. His songs kept moving from generation to generation, becoming part of life itself. Fans are already asking for a tribute concert at MSG when he recovers. In July 2025, he called NPH scary, but said he wanted to return to music. He talked about his song Vienna and how its message to slow down helped him through recovery. His words reminded everyone that life can be heavy, but music can lighten the load. His journey, filled with mistakes, heartbreak, triumph, and survival, keeps inspiring people who see their own struggles in his voice.